Okay, so now let's talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. I talked about it in the introduction. This is retrieval augmented generation. You're going to ask a question from the user, and then you're going to add additional data to it, and then send it to a large language model to analyze. This is what almost everybody wants. When I first heard about this, I thought you had to retrain models with company data, but I learned that is a procedure that was used in the past that was expensive and not wise. Because one thing about large language models is the problem of catastrophic forgetting. If you train it on new things, it will forget the old things, including, for example, your security barriers. So what's generally done is not retraining the model because it has unpleasant side effects and is prohibitively expensive. What you do is you just add context to your question. That's called retrieval augmented generation. And we're going to make a few versions of this thing here with simple Python. So here is an example of a RAG system without a large language model in it. So I'm going to call this rag1.py. All right. And all this is going to do, this is an incredibly simple program. I've just fed in 10 activities, like take a walk in the park, visit a museum, and so on. And then it's going to let the user ask a question, and it's just going to calculate the Jacquard similarity, which means it's going to count words in the question that match words in these answers. And whatever one matches with the most words, it's going to call the answer. So this is like a Google sort of search engine. Very, very simple. So I save this and then run it. All right. And now if I say, I like to hike, it'll tell you, go for a hike, because it just looked for the word hike and it found one of the answers contained the word hike. That's all. And you can tell how stupid it is, because if I run it again and I say, I don't like to hike, it tells you to take a hike because it's just looking for words that match, and it doesn't even understand that the word don't means cancel it. It's very, very simple. So that's without large language models. Now we're going to improve it. We're going to check the API, which is already checked and it's running. So we're going to augment this with a large language model using the API. And it's going to show you what it's doing. So I nanoreg2.py. All right, and we're just going to run this one, Python 3 reg 2. All right, now if I say I like to hike, what it does is it makes this prompt out of that. It doesn't just pass my prompt to the user, it adds this extra text. You are a bot that makes recommendations for activities. You answer in very short sentences. This is the recommended activity. Go for a hike. The user input is, I like to hike. Now compile a recommendation. So it creates this long prompt, including other information, in addition to the question. And now it makes a response. Based on your interest in hiking, I recommend this and that. And now, if I run it again and I say, I don't like to hike, then it sends this to the large language model. It says the user input is, I don't like to hike, but, and here's the recommended activity, go for a hike. And the large language model is able to figure out not to recommend hiking because it's able to take these words and discover that this information, I don't like to hike, means don't follow the recommendation, but recommend something else. That's what Microsoft Copilot 365 does. It looks up extra stuff and adds it to the question. So now you can try doing a real valuable one. That one was just for this hiking stuff. What I'm going to do here, I put in a whole bunch of information from the National Institute of Standards, listing machine learning risks, like 80 machine learning risks, and we're going to use that for a database. So I'm going to get that from my server and then show the first few of them. And here you are. AI risks can differ or intensify traditional software risks. GAI risks may arise. They may present at system level. They may occur abruptly. There's a whole bunch of sentences from real government recommendations about AI security. So now I can make a retrieval augmented generation model that will use information from NIST to answer questions about AI security. So that's RAG number 3. All right, I'll put in that code. All right. And just like the other, it's going to show us exactly how it works. Python 3, reg 3. Okay, what AI risk are you interested in taking over the world? All right, now here's what it sent. You are a security expert working for the government. Give an accurate answer in only 1 or 2 sentences. Base your answer on this context. Now it adds the context, which got by just matching some of the words. So somehow it figured out that this contained taking over the world, which I'm not seeing actually. But anyway, then give a brief security recommendation based on this context. And here it goes, giving you an answer, which sounds pretty good and is pretty relevant. This is what Microsoft Copilot does. And this is one showing you how you could incorporate your company data into it. So this is doing it with very simple Python code. And that's a very rudimentary RAG. So let me stop this one. If I can get this thing to respond. There we are.